Night shifts are usually quiet, but I've always found comfort in that stillness. There's something soothing about empty store aisles, the warm glow of the lights, and the gentle hum of the refrigeration units. That night, like always, I arrived early. It was just me and the silent store. The caffeine from a warm cup of coffee eased my hands, still chilled from the evening air. Everything looked normal. Shelves neatly stocked, doors locked, security cameras functioning. I smiled to myself, thinking, tonight's shift will be calm, just like any other. But I didn't yet know that this night would change the way I saw the store forever. I had just set my coffee cup down on the checkout counter when I heard a faint scraping sound down the main aisle. I turned, but the aisle was empty. Only the neatly arranged shelves and the warm glow of the lights. I figured it was just a stray shopping cart, but something in me tensed. A few minutes later, the sound returned, this time closer and heavier, as if someone were walking right behind me. My heart started racing, and I held my breath. I whispered to myself, no, I'm alone. But a cold shiver ran down my spine, and every sense in my body went on high alert. I tried to calm myself by checking the aisles, making sure nothing was there. But when I glanced toward the far end of the store, I saw a faint shadow flicker near the exit. It vanished quickly, but just enough to make every hair on my body stand on end. I realized then that tonight would not be the same. The store that usually felt safe now seemed to harbor secrets, watching every step I took. I decided to find the source of that shadow. I couldn't just stand there and let fear take over my night. With careful steps, I switched on the small flashlight I always carried for night shifts. Its thin beam danced across the shelves, casting shadows that only made me more alert. The farther I walked, the stranger things became. A cart that had been still moved on its own. Racks of clothes swayed though there was no breeze. And at the end of the aisle, I heard a soft whisper I couldn't understand. Every time I looked, no one was there. But one thing was clear. I had to know what was happening, or this night would fully consume me with fear. I began searching the store, floor by floor, unlocking the small storerooms, even checking the security cameras. Everything looked normal on the screen, just empty aisles repeating over and over. Yet when I returned to the main aisle, I saw something that froze me. A shelf that had always been full was now completely empty, even though I was sure I'd stocked it earlier. On the floor, there were small footprints that couldn't possibly belong to an adult. Fear and curiosity mingled. I knew that to stay safe, I had to face the night and uncover the truth, even though each step felt like walking through a nightmare. I followed the tiny footprints to the farthest aisle of the store, where shelves were rarely touched and the lights often flickered. My breathing grew uneven, but I forced myself forward. At the end of the aisle, I saw something that made my body freeze. A shopping cart moving on its own, slowly rolling toward me, with no wind or person nearby. I tried to push the cart back, but no force seemed to work. Every effort felt useless. Panic surged. I realized that tonight, my fear might not be stopped by logic or ordinary courage. At that moment, I understood the only option. Leave this aisle and head toward the back room, beyond the camera's view, hoping for another clue. But every step felt like hitting an invisible wall. Something was resisting my movement, and the whispers grew closer, as if aware I was hiding. I froze, heart hammering, realizing there was only one way to end this night. Face whatever was lurking directly, even if I didn't know what awaited me. With a held breath, I stepped toward the moving cart. My flashlight beam swept downward, and suddenly, I saw a small shadow standing right in front of me. A childlike figure, with eyes that silently locked onto mine. I wanted to scream, but my voice caught. The figure didn't move, just stared. I tried to speak. "Hi. Are you?" But no answer came, only silence that seemed to swallow the entire room. Then, slowly, the figure turned toward the empty shelf I had noticed earlier, and I realized every shadow, every footprint, even the moving cart, it had all been following me. Every motion, every step, this night was shaped by my own fear. I wasn't facing something external. I was confronting my own dread, manifested into reality inside the store. The twist hit me like a punch. Everything I had feared this night wasn't some ordinary mystery, but a reflection of my own anxiety and terror, waiting for me to accept or conquer it. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I realized the only way out of this nightmare was to embrace my fear, not fight it. Slowly, I looked at the childlike shadow again and spoke in the calmest voice I could muster. "I understand. I won't run anymore." The moment the words left my lips, something changed. The shadow smiled softly, not menacingly, but as if giving permission. The cart stopped moving. The empty shelves refilled themselves, and the whispers faded. The room that had felt terrifying now returned to calm, and the heavy tension that had weighed on me began to melt away. I knew I had learned something valuable that night. The fears we avoid are often our own greatest shadows, and when we face them, we can find a way forward. I walked back to the checkout counter, turned the lights brighter, and for the first time, the night shift felt peaceful, safe, and even serene. The night shift felt calm, safe, and even serene. As I looked down the store aisles, now neatly organized again, I realized that this night wasn't just about moving carts or frightening shadows. It was a journey into understanding myself, confronting fear, and finding courage in silence. Since that night, every time I work alone in the store, I no longer feel fear. I've learned to trust my instincts, appreciate the quiet, and understand that what seems frightening is often only a reflection of the fear we carry within. That night, I didn't just survive a mysterious experience. I discovered something far more precious: the courage to face fear, even when no one's watching, and the serenity that comes from fully accepting oneself. Now, every light that glows in the store at night no longer frightens me. It stands as a silent witness to the night I learned to confront my own shadow.